Many of today's most pressuring problems are environmental issues. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the environmental concepts and challenges. But before we go into more detail, we need to ask what is actually meant by the term environment. We can distinguish between four different elements. The biophysical or natural environment includes animals, humans, and plants, so that is the ecosystem. The built or modified environment are all man-made structures, so for example cities. The social environment is the social setting in which people live in, for example the culture. The business environment describes internal as well as external factors affecting a business's situation, so for example markets, competitors, or laws. But what causes environmental problems like climate change, loss of biodiversity, pollution, waste, and the depletion of resources? The trigger for these issues were the Industrial Revolution, which led to high production and consumption. Other causes like population growth and political factors such as lobbying played a big role as well. The tragedy of the commons describes the phenomena that everyone has free access and demand is unrestricted to finite resources like oil or wood, which in turn will lead to the depletion of these resources. There are several ways of responding to environmental problems. Governments try to tackle the problems together, as it was done in the Kyoto Protocol, where countries set emission targets, carbon pricing, and subsidies. Other government responses are investing in renewable energies, improving energy efficiency, reducing deforestation, and limiting their greenhouse gases through joint implementation, emission trading, or clean development mechanisms. Businesses can make a huge impact in resolving environmental problems too, for example by tackling environmental problems in voluntary agreements and partnerships with other organizations. Nowadays, many businesses report things like carbon levels, assess their environmental impact, and set reduction targets. Becoming more eco-efficient and more sustainable is another response that can be made by companies. One prime example of a multinational company that opposes to do something against climate change and other environmental problems is Unilever. Some of their goals that they want to achieve to become more sustainable are using 100% renewable energy by 2030, 47% reduction in CO2 from energy per ton of production since 2008, making plastic packaging fully reusable, recyclable or compostable by 2020, a 39% reduction in water abstraction per ton of production in 2008, sourcing all agricultural raw materials sustainably by 2020, or a 98% reduction in total waste per ton of production since 2008. I think that corporations and governments too long have made profits at nature's cost by exploiting natural resources up to depletion and thereby served an unsustainable system of excessive consumption and production. Life as we know it will not continue to exist if we keep things as they are. That's why it's time to change our way of life and make respecting and protecting nature and our environment our first priority. Not only governments and businesses should be held accountable for changing our future, as it starts with every individual to make more conscious decisions and change unsustainable behavior patterns. These are all the references that I used to make this presentation. Thank you all for listening.